How can a movie with a premise so complicated the studio had no idea how to promote it and the actors really didn't know how to explain it garner such a strong cult following even today? Guess we're going to find out. I'm Bob, you're you, and welcome to Classically Bad Cinema. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension is a 1984 science fiction film that stars Peter Weller, Ellen Barkin, John Lithgow, Jeff Goldblum, and Christopher Lloyd. Dr. Buckaroo Banzai is a physicist, a neurosurgeon, a test pilot, and a rock star amongst his other talents. And he is tasked with saving the world from a group of aliens known as the Red Lectroids from Planet 10. The film is a mix of action-adventure, science fiction, with a dash of comedy and romance thrown in for good measure. Originally slated for release in June of 1984, it ended up getting postponed to August to avoid competing with other big-budget movies. But despite this, the movie still tanked at the box office, just earning $6.2 million against a budget of $17 million. The film was hampered by other releases that year that included Ghostbusters, Red Dawn, Purple Rain, The Karate Kid, Revenge of the Nerd, The Jungle Book, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, The Last Starfighter, Never-Ending Story, Conan the Destroyer, Gremlins, Police Academy, 16 Candles, Star Trek III, Search for Spock, The Terminator, Beverly Hills Cop, Nightmare on Elm Street, Footloose, Dune, and most importantly, Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
That's about it.
The film also had to contend with the limited release compared to the other films that year. The promotion of the movie and its complex plot was another clear problem, one that affected both the actors and the studio publicists. John Lithgow made light of the fact in an interview that it takes him an hour to describe the plot to someone. But despite the film's dismal box office performance, it has amassed a devoted cult following since its debut that extends to novels, comic book, and video games. In 1998, there were discussions about a TV show called Buckaroo Banzai Ancient Secrets and New Mysteries. In 2016, Kevin Smith announced that he was going to adapt the film for television, but he later withdrew due to litigation between MGM and the original authors. The movie begins with an opening crawl, and wow, thanks movie! It either knew I bitched about the black hole's opening in my previous review, or it realized how convoluted the plot is and decided to help us out. Anyways, we find out a little bit about Buckaroo Banzai's background, including he was born to an American mother, a Japanese father, became a brilliant neurosurgeon, but eventually got bored and quit. And he ended up wandering the world studying martial arts, particle physics, and gathered a group of crazy-ass friends that would later be called the Hong Kong Cavaliers. We also learn, possibly because there's really no other way to adequately explain it outside of this crawl, that he's currently prepping his JetCar for an attempt at interdimensional travel, all the while being watched by aliens floating far above the Earth. As preparations are being made to the JetCar, or in this case, jet truck, Dr. Banzai assists his friend New Jersey in brain surgery, just in case we forgot how brilliant of a neurosurgeon he was from the opening. He finally shows up for his interdimensional voyage and repairs his oscillation overthruster that he and Dr. Akita have perfected that looks a lot like a flux capacitor. Interesting. Anyways, it's a device that allows an object to pass through solid matter. Banzai puts it to a test by attempting to drive his jet car, which is more of a truck, through a mountain at roughly 500 miles an hour. I guess anything above 88, you don't get to see some serious shit. After a successful test, he discovers himself in another dimension within the mountain. And I stand corrected. I suppose you do see some serious shit at that speed. And did he just hit a beam from the 8th dimension with his jet car truck? Anyways, as he exits the mountain and returns to his own dimension, conveniently ignoring the hit-and-run incident, he discovers a bizarre alien organism clinging to the underside of his jet car that's, more of a truck. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Emilio Lizardo, who's incarcerated at the Trenton home for the criminally insane who's watching the television coverage of Banzai's successful test. We get treated to a flashback. Appears in 1938, Dr. Lizardo and Akita had built a prototype overthruster that Lizardo tested it before it was ready. He had ended up becoming stuck between dimensions. He was attacked by beings in the 8th dimension before being freed by his colleagues, emerged transformed and violent. After seeing Banzai access the 8th dimension, Lizardo escapes the asylum and plots to steal the overthruster. Banzai and his band, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, perform at a nightclub in New Jersey. This is the type of scene you get when you ask the film to tell you it's from the 80s, without actually telling you it's from the 80s. Banzai interrupts their intro to address a depressed woman in the audience, Penny Pretty, who he continually calls Peggy. She's down on her luck, broke, and homeless. He attempts to help her with some life advice.
No matter where you go, there you are.
And sings her a song.
This is weird.
Amen, movie. Amen. The two have helped so much as she attempts suicide. Maybe you should try singing a different song.
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
Unfortunately, during her attempt, she's accidentally bumped by the waiter and mistaken for attempting to kill Banzai. And holy hell, is that a lot of guns. Is this a concert in New Jersey or Texas? She ends up getting arrested for attempted murder. But hey, at least on the bright side, she won't be sleeping on the streets tonight. Long story short, after questioning her in jail, Banzai realizes A, she wasn't trying to kill him, and B, she's a long-lost identical twin sister of his late wife, Peggy, and bails her out or tells him to release her. I don't know exactly how she gets out.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
At a press conference held later on to discuss the JetCar truck experience, the Oberthruster, and the alien specimen he brought back from his journey within the 8th dimension, conveniently leaving out the hit-and-run incident, we learned that his parents gave their life researching the theory that alien life existed not in space, but rather on Earth, and in solid matter such as a mountain. Banzai receives a supposed call from the president as aliens above Earth monitor it, but instead he receives electrical shock. The shock allows him to recognize a couple of men in the audience as aliens. They take off as Banzai gives chase. In the melee, another alien kidnaps Akita and Reno gets shot in the shoulder. From here on out, things really get confusing because there is a lot going on.
This is a very complicated case, Maud. You know, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous.
So basically, during the chase, a couple hunters shoot at an alien craft, causing it to crash. One of the aliens is killed trying to leave the wreckage by slipping off the top of it.
You're a stupid dumbass.
Another one does manage to escape during the confusion. The aliens from the press conference show up to investigate the crash. Banzai radios back to the Cavalier and discovers that the professor was kidnapped. He tells Rawhide to investigate Yo-Yo-Dyne propulsion system. He manages to rescue Akita and sends him back to the lab on a motorcycle that he stole earlier with the formula that was given to him with the initial shock. The Cavaliers send a message out to the Blue Blaze Irregulars, who are basically Buckaroo's own private civilian militia that they use whenever they need help. Kind of like modern-day Swifties. Buckaroo's is caught spying on one of the aliens. While it's not a gunshot to the dick, we do get a kick to the nuts.
You've been kicked in the nuts.
As he escapes, the third alien, and like I said, there's a lot to unpack here, activates the auto-destruct and destroys himself and the ship. The other aliens attempt to run down Buckaroo, whether it was in retaliation for the hit and run from earlier, or it could be for the recent kick to the dick. Luckily for him, he's rescued by a group of Blue Blaze Irregulars in their helicopter. The Cavaliers do manage to track the aliens to Yo-Yo-Dyne propulsion system in New Jersey, where they learn that all of the company employees obtained their social security numbers on the same day, November 1st, 1938, which happens to be the day after Orson Welles' famous broadcast of War of the Worlds. Meaning that Orson Welles' radio show described the aliens' arrival in 1938, but he was hypnotized and reported it was all a hoax. Turns out Yo-Yo-Dyne has been building a spacecraft to cross over to the 8th dimension under the guise of a new bomber for the Air Force. Banzai finally returns to the Banzai Institute, and damn, how long does it take? The professor was back on a motorcycle in like 15 minutes. It's here where we meet John Parker, a messenger from the leader of the Black Lectroids on Planet 10, who managed to escape from the wreckage of the space pod earlier without killing himself. Parker delivers a recording from John Emdahl in which he reveals that her people have been at war with the Red Lectroids for many years and managed to banish them to the 8th dimension. Lizardo failed tests in 1938 allowed the Red Lectroid tyrannical leader, Lord John Worfen, to take over his mind and several dozen of his troops to escape. Emdahl fears that since Banzai perfected the Oberthruster, Worfen will use it to free the other Red Lectroids and assign Banzai the task of stopping him before sunset. Otherwise, the Black Lectroids will be forced to attack Russia from their orbiting ship, triggering a nuclear war that will annihilate not only the Red Lectroids on Earth, but humanity itself. Damn, another scientist who unintentionally causes the potential annihilation of Earth. While the Cavaliers are preparing their response, the professor is working to complete the formula Banzai gave. The formula allows humans to see the aliens in their true form. Or at least that's what I hope he's cooking here. Red Lectroids break into the Institute and attack, kidnapping Penny without realizing that they also captured the overthruster she's carrying. As the others search the Institute for the assailant, ensure that the watermelon is okay, which it is, Rawhide is killed protecting Banzai. At Yoyodyne, Penny is tortured, refusing to tell the Red Lectroids the location of the overthruster, and is going to be killed unless Banzai brings them his. Now, we aren't given any details of the rescue plan outside a call going out for reinforcements, and Banzai telling the others to get ready to come in and finish him off. Banzai enters Yoyodyne headquarters alone and apparently unarmed. Alright, now I'm sure that this is all calculated and the second phase is about to be initiated. And now he's taken prisoner.
Oh my god, that was your plan.
Yeah.
And you all went along with it.
I was having my doubts.
What the hell? I assumed that there was more than this after telling everybody to come in and mop up the rest. What rest? He didn't take anybody out. He just surrendered.
For the next 24 hours, all your decision-making privileges have been removed.
This attack plan honestly could be worse than Zarkov's. At least he brought a gun. In any case, the Cavaliers do ultimately arrive, aided by multiple squads of Blue Blaze irregulars, and after having the shit shocked out of him and the use of probes, only escapes after one of the aliens is electrocuted. So was this all part of the supposed plan as well?
Not a great plan.
Banzai fights through the Red Lectroids and finally saves Penny, who's been severely tortured, unconscious, and left for dead.
Thank God I saved you.
While New Jersey tends to her tortured, unconscious, and half-dead, Banzai and Parker sneak into a pod on the Yoyodyne spacecraft. Lacking Banzai's overthruster, Worfen decides to utilize his model, which John Booty... Okay, calm down, it's Big Booty. Anyways, he's none too pleased at this and he lets his feelings be known.
You haven't a chance, you overthrusters for shit!
Those worries are warranted when they fail to make the interdimensional jump and instead bust through a wall and then take off for the sky. Lord Worfen ejects the pod with Banzai and Parker from the ship, and wouldn't you know it, Banzai runs into one of the few cosmic aliens that doesn't know how to fly a spaceship. Fortunately for them, they're able to activate it and its weapons, and Parker understands just enough to help Banzai destroy Worfen's ship and the Red Lectroids aboard. Parker uses the pod to return to his crew in orbit while Banzai parachutes Earth with the Red Lectroids defeated and war seemingly averted. He ends up learning that Penny passed away from her injuries.
That's kind of a downer.
When he attempts one final kiss, M-Dog gives Banzai another brief electrical shock, reviving Penny. Okay, come on now. Where the hell was this when Rawhide was dying?
Where were you on that one, dipshit?
Anyways, the end. And we get treated to the group looking hardcore during the closing credits, and we get promised a sequel that will never happen.
Lying asshole! Lying assholes!
So what did I think of this cult classic? Time to go to hits and misses, my friends, and find out. Starting with the misses, aside from no gunshot to the dick, this is undoubtedly a movie that cannot be adequately summarized in a sentence or two. Nor is one that you leave to get a drink or use the bathroom and not return and be completely lost by its bizarre and convoluted premise. Early on, it was difficult to follow and understand who was who and everything that was going on. Not as difficult as traveling through the black hole, but challenging nonetheless. We do get assistance when they receive the communication from John M-Dog explaining what's going on and who the Red Lectroids are. But I can see how filmgoers would struggle with this one right out of the box. And then the rescue plan, or the lack thereof. Seem ill-advised just to give yourself up. It's not like Banzai was creating a diversion for the Hong Kong Cavaliers and the irregulars, or trading himself and a dummy overthruster for Penny's release. He just walked in unarmed, was captured, and to make matters worse, Penny was still tortured, and would be dead if it wasn't for M-Doll. As I mentioned, Zarkov's crap plan at least involved a gun. Potholes left open. I can't be the only one disappointed not to learn why there was a watermelon there. We're promised by Reno, he explained later, but are left with absolutely no explanation of what it's for and why it's sitting there. Actually, I'm just kidding about that. That actually belongs in the hits, and I'll explain later. Now for the hits. The truth is, despite its crazy plot and outrageous characters and the blending of genres, this movie is very enjoyable. There is no reason for this movie to be as entertaining and satisfying as it is, but it's for all the reasons I just listed. With its complicated storyline and fusion of multiple film genres, the film manages to be an absolute blast due to absurdity and vibrant characters. With its complicated storyline and fusion of multiple genres, the film manages to be an absolute blast with its absurdity and its vibrant characters. One of the best aspects of this film is its refusal to take itself too seriously. It embraces its craziness and revels in being completely over the top. From its eccentric characters to the outlandish premise, Every element is presented with a straight face by the characters themselves. This intentional lack of self-awareness adds to the film's charm. The use of unexpected over-the-top moments adds to the overall enjoyment that's going to help keep the viewer engaged and entertained throughout its entire runtime. The star-studded cast elevates the film appeal. Each brings their own unique charisma and energy to the role, making their characters immensely likable and unforgettable. From Peter Weller, Christopher Lloyd, to John Lithgow's portrayal of the crazy-haired, eccentric Dr. Lazardo, Lord John Wharton, is spectacular to behold. His stained teeth and gloriously exaggerated Italian accent is a thing of beauty. Being a fan of War of the World, whether it's a novel, the 1938 radio show, or 2 film adaptations, I thought it was a very clever revelation that Orson Welles' famous radio program was actually a real news report covering the Red Lectroid's arrival on Earth. Even though in actuality Orson Welles was the founder and artistic director of the Mercury Theater Company, and the intro to the program made it quite apparent it was just merely a radio show. As I said, the watermelon. The watermelon played a substantial role in why this movie was so over the top and a gem to watch. The watermelon scene turned out to be nothing more than a test. From what I can gather, the making of Buckaroo Banzai was plagued with challenges. The film's producer was constantly fighting with the filmmakers, sending notes and making changes. Then at one point, the notes stopped, leaving everyone to wonder if anyone was paying attention or if the studio even cared. So they went to a street vendor, bought a watermelon, and filmed the scene and then waited. The thought was that since it was so weird, with no logical explanation and completely disrupted the action, that it would garner the attention of someone at the studio who saw it. When they got no response, they knew that no one was paying attention and they could do whatever they want. So, should you protect this film from the invading Red Lectroids or let it be destroyed in World War III? Save it, because it's an incredibly entertaining movie that deserved to be ranked 21 on the Cult 25, the essential left field movie hit since '83. And number 43 on Entertainment Weekly's list of the top 50 cult movies, or listed as one of the Guardian's 1,000 films to see before you die. From start to finish, it is a wacky, outrageously entertaining movie that's worth at least one viewing. So sit back and enjoy it all. Well, that's all I got. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like and subscribe button below. If you didn't enjoy it, then tell that keyboard warrior to hit that like and subscribe button. Then they can destroy me in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Bob, you're you. So long, everybody.
Chance, you're overthrusted for shit!